phone. It started. Here we go. In 4, 3, 2. Welcome to the Sober Happy Hour radio broadcast. I am your host. We are coming to you live on youtube.com and streaming all around the world at some point or another via podcast. This is the Sober Happy Hour. You can email us, you can Facebook us, you can Twitter us. As a matter of fact, you can Twitter us all you'd like, because I'm sure that's a euphemism for something. Uh-oh. I just lost an ear. There we go. So, what's today? Today's July the 22nd, 2017. We are streaming live on YouTube via Google Hangouts. And we're back after a number of weeks on the sidelines, a number of weeks of too much shit going on for everyone involved. But here we are. I have no complaints. And hopefully, if there's anyone listening, anyone at all, someone might say somewhere along the lines how much they've missed us. But I'm here with my good friends Chaz and Robinson. Say hello, gentlemen.
Hello, gentlemen.
Hello, gentlemen.
Yes. Yes. I'm going to stop this crazy echo bullshit because I give up on it.
Is it
all right.
me?
No, it was me. It's me. It was me.
Oh.
I run a program that runs a program, and then it causes an echo. And the reality of it is I figured out a way to download the audio from YouTube. So I don't really need that. Whoa. Oh, oh. What was that? You hear that?
I heard it.
Sounds like a monster. All right. Weird. It's all buzzy now. Wow. Wow. Do you hear that? You don't hear that, Robinson?
I hear
Because
it.
it's coming from...
Oh, whoa, whoa. Yeah, that's not working.
Okay, sorry.
That was you, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. I told Novin to put headphones in.
Well, that was a bad idea.
Sorry.
Here, give them I don't know if this is a male or female. Give them a smartphone watching live and put headphones into that. That'll work.
Okay.
That way she can tell us if the audio levels sound okay.
Okay.
So we
Go to YouTube.
are back. And like I said before, this is the Sober Happy Hour radio broadcast streaming on YouTube. And I kind of feel like I forgot how to do this. I feel a little rusty, but we'll get back into the swing of things. We do have a couple of interesting topics to talk about tonight. I have my quintessential topic to talk about. Why is it that every time we take a little bit of time off from doing this show, somebody else dies? What the fuck is that all about? So I'm going to talk about that a little bit. That's going to be what I talk about. Chaz, we were going to lighten it up a little bit. We were going to talk about some strange addictions, and then we were going to take those addictions and we were going to put them through the Sober Happy Hour test. Because you can call something an addiction all you'd like, but does it pass the Sober Happy Hour test? If it does not pass the test, then it is not an addiction. It is just you being a fuckface. Or people trying to tell you that you're addicted to something that really isn't all that bad for you. And
because
if we
love to tell you what's wrong with you.
Right, of course. The society loves to tell you you are fucked in every way. And then something interesting, I think we might have touched on it briefly, but I'll touch it again. I don't mind.
Touch it.
I might go blind.
Touch it. Touch it.
But the concept of vaping has been coming up a lot in the news. And it's really interesting what some other countries are doing regarding vaping. And I don't care how lame people think the word vaping is, but these are no longer e-cigs because it's not shaped like a cigarette, and it is a vaporizer, so you are vaping. And we'll talk a little bit about the state of the union, the state of the vaping industry. And Robinson, you shared an article with me about BDSM and sex addiction. And I think that's another one of those people trying to tell other people that there's something wrong with them situations.
Yes.
So, Chaz,
Yep.
where should we start?
Let's start with some of the addictions that we got from the message here.
All right, so silly addiction. So the premise, and then Chaz will share, is there's a show. My kids love this show because they're my kids, so they're a little twisted. It's called My Strange Addiction. And for there to be more than a handful of episodes of My Strange Addiction, it can't just be about crack and heroin and methamphetamine and marijuana, if you will, and drugs. It has to be about weird shit. There was one episode that I remember where there was a dude who was, quote, addicted to eating raw meat. So he would go, but the dude was young, early 20s, and he was broke. He was like a waiter at a restaurant. He didn't have money, so he couldn't go and afford like sashimi grade raw fish. He couldn't go afford like Kobe raw beef. So he would go find the discount manager special at the local supermarket when they had beef, tri-tip on sale, and he would cut it into little slices and he would eat it raw, and he had this addiction to it. But what really fucking tweaked me out watching this episode was he would do this with beef, he would do it with pork, he would do it with lamb, and he would do it with chicken. He was eating manager specials. So the shit that's about to go bad, it's too old to be sold at normal price and they got to move it quick. It's still safe for a day or two. And he would buy it. Is right. And he would cut it up. He would take the chicken, like a chicken thigh or a chicken breast, and he would cut little slices of raw chicken and he would eat it. And they were showing this guy eating it. The producers stepped in at one point and were like, hey, we don't know if our insurance is okay with you doing this. I mean, it was one thing when it was beef that you were slicing yourself. There's a lot of, we'll say, incorrect information about raw beef. Yes, raw ground beef could make you sick, but if you took a big roast and ate raw pieces from the middle of it that's never been cut, never touched by human hands or processed, and you get rid of the outer layer, the inside is going to be safe because it's never come into contact or been exposed to anything other than itself. But raw chicken, raw poultry is fucking dangerous. I don't care where it's from. I don't care if you raised it yourself. It can get salmonella. You could die. It's not good. So that's this show. It shows fucked up people doing fucked up shit. And Chaz is going to tell us a couple of the fucked up things that people do on this show. So, Chaz.
Yep. All right. Well, first I want to preface this with this article is a perfect example of what happens when you get a bunch of lay people talking about shit that they think they know about.
Okay.
In other words, pop psychology. So they call it, and this is what they in the article call it. There's no self-respecting person that would ever call it this. Tanorexia, addiction to tanning.
Tanorexia. I love it.
So listen to the way that they write it, okay? Tanorexia is an unhealthy dependence on tanning. The name comes because of its similarity to both substance addictions and body image disorders such as anorexia. There is some evidence that UV tanning dependence, there's that word again, dependence, may have biological underpinnings like other addictions, such as the production of endorphins, as in the runner's high. But since tanning dependence is such a new concept, treatments are still being studied. So, that one.
So, tanorexia, the addiction to UV
dependency.
So, like if you don't do it, you go through tanning withdrawals. So, would it be safe to say, would it be fair to say that our fearless leader, the president of the United States, suffers from tanorexia.
Orange. He's just orange.
I thought he was an Oompa Loompa.
That could very well be the case.
Yeah. So, I mean, body dysmorphic disorder is an actual thing, and that's
Sure.
like, you know, all that other stuff. But I don't know if, again, that's an awful word to call it, tanorexia.
I feel like it just completely spits in the face of anorexic people
Yeah.
suffering from a legitimate eating disorder, and
Sure.
we're gonna. Well, it's kind of like, you know, Watergate becomes, you know, every other gate, Bendgate, you know, like.
And it's like, no, Watergate was Watergate. It's
Right.
like there is no other gate.
No, I mean, I have a gate, but it's to my backyard. You know,
Yeah.
like, it's not a conspiracy. It's definitely not anything weird. So, what's another one, Chaz?
All right. Another one. Crackberry, addiction to BlackBerry.
So this might be old.
Yes, this might be old. Hearing a phantom ring or experiencing a phantom vibration and constantly checking emails are signs of BlackBerry addiction.
Or any smartphone, I assume.
Yeah, and I don't know what the diagnostic code is for BlackBerry addiction, but I'm sure we can look it up. Experts say email and text messages may feed the ego because they make people feel important. Treatment, there actually is treatment for it. Treatment for crackberry or similar addictions, such as internet or email obsession, involves evidently interrupting the pattern.
So, Robinson, would
Yes.
would you say that have you ever felt a ghost vibration in your pocket?
Many times I have had my phone sitting somewhere on the counter, and I have the cargo pants that I keep my phone in most of the time, and I have many times felt vibration on my thigh and reached in my pocket and went, "What the fuck? Where's my phone?"
And
there are
it wasn't, and nothing happened. There was no, you didn't get a call, you didn't get a text, you didn't get a message.
Oh, that's the thing. I did.
Whoa.
I started like, it happened so frequently that I started taking note of the time that and if my phone, let's say my battery was dead and I'm trying to charge it and I want to leave it off, I would get a phantom vibration on my leg, and I would look at the clock and write down what time it was, and I'd do that. And then when I turned my phone on, I would check the time with the
message.
the times that I got the
Right.
vibration, and they were sometimes they were spot on, and it's kind of creepy.
Either that or you have a tumor. So would they call with Robinson? So I use an iPhone. Robinson uses an Android phone. Is it a Samsung? It's a Samsung phone? No, or you have a newer phone. It was like a Chinese brand.
Well, I have this happened most of the time with my Samsung.
Got it. Okay. So it was
I never happened with anything other than Samsung.
Ooh, Samsung Rexia? No? Too soon? All right. What's another one, Chaz?
So again, our whole idea is to see do these things actually classify as legit addictions?
Fuck
or
no,
are
they don't.
Compulsions, you know.
I like the pagophagia.
Ooh.
Okay, let's go to that one.
Yeah.
All right. Pagophagia, addiction to ice. Pagophagia, which means eating ice, is an obsessive need to chew on ice. Scientific research shows pagophagia can be a sign of low iron in the blood. The addition of B vitamins can help increase red blood cell productions, and vitamin C can aid in the absorption of iron.
So similar to pica or pica, however it's pronounced, when pregnant women eat dryer sheets and sand.
Yeah.
Usually that's an iron deficiency.
No, I don't think ice would be classified because ice is edible.
Sure.
Yeah.
Refers to things that are not edible.
Have you ever eaten a dryer sheet? They're delicious.
Okay, I mean, not
Okay,
in.
so this isn't talking. This is trying to call that an addiction.
So I have
which
Peyton has a
means-
friend. And I'm not going to say his name because he's a juvenile. But whenever he comes over to my house, he does have this like obsession with my refrigerator that has an ice and water dispenser, because the crushed ice that it spits out is like his favorite kind of crushed ice, and he will fill ginormous cups with this ice and eat the ice, and it's really obnoxious because it's like constantly.
But will he go into withdrawal if he stops?
I don't know. I never asked him to stop. I'm not a dick.
I mean, because the question is like dependency. You know?
Sure.
Yeah, let's do the test.
All right. So here's the test. So this ice dysplasia. What the fuck is it called? I know.
Pagophagia.
Pagophagia. Okay. So is it disruptive to your life? Chewing ice.
No.
It could fuck up your teeth.
No. It's not hard enough.
Okay.
Around you, like from here, people having to listen to the crunching, but
Sure.
I don't think it has any physical.
No, and it's not like it's expensive either.
Okay. But if your friends don't want to hang out with you anymore, then it can mess up your social life.
Yeah, but it doesn't go into that.
But it's
that could
essentially
be-
free.
That could just be chewing shit with your mouth open in the first place.
That's true. Good point. Like popcorn.
Yeah. Chips.
So I'm gonna have to go ahead and say it does not pass the sober happy hour test.
Definitely.
Phytoplankton phasia. What's it called?
Pagophagia.
Pagophagia. Not an addiction.
No way.
What was the first one? It was tanning.
Anorexia.
Tanorexia. So that's an interesting one, because here's the thing. I have known women, mostly when they were young women, you might even call them girls, that were completely obsessed with going tanning. But I think you hit the nail on the head, Chaz. That's more potentially some sort of just disorder with yourself, like the what was it? Body dysmorphic disorder, that they could not stand the way that they looked if they were not toasty orange brown tan. It's so bad for you, though. I mean,
So let's go to this one, okay? Because this has some like pretty telling signs in it. All right, and not just the time. Addiction to funerals.
get the fuck out of here.
No. Listen here.
Addiction to a funeral.
No.
Because this is I'm
Addiction
reading
to
straight
going
from it.
to other people's funerals, whether you know the person who died or not.
Reading straight from it. This is so unique. It doesn't even have a name. Brazilian man Luis Squarici suffers what he calls an addiction to funerals. The 42-year-old man from Batatai has attended every single funeral in his town for the past 20 years and has quit his job to be able to feed his addiction.
Wow.
What set me off was my father's death in 1983. The first thing I do every morning is to turn on the radio and find out if anyone has died. If I don't hear it on the radio, I call the hospitals and the local funeral home, said the man.
So he's like
local funeral home said, we don't want him to go to therapy. Everyone expects to see him at the funeral.
So he's more or less he's the village junkie. Like everybody just expects to see him begging for change outside of the Circle K.
I don't know about that. I mean, think about somebody who's like
he
a
quit his
Raiders
job for it.
What about a Raiders fan?
Okay.
Okay.
I mean,
exactly.
every Raiders game is kind of like a funeral.
Okay.
But those cost money. Funerals, it sounds like he just shows up.
But people like him being there.
But he quit his job. I mean, how does he? I mean, it doesn't really go into like all the other stuff about his life. But he quit his job because of it. I mean, I would not call this. I would not call this an addiction. I'd call this compulsion.
Yeah. Except, I mean, the quitting the job thing, the fact that he's making bad life decisions that could have a negative impact on him. I mean, there could be people that it's like, in lieu of flowers, donate to Pedro, the guy that shows up at all the funerals to help pay his rent. I don't know. That's a pretty weird one. And I guess if it's the only case, it would be difficult to call it an addiction. I agree. I think more of a compulsion. I also think, homeboy needs to make some friends.
Well,
Although, you remember Will Smith's character in Wedding Crashers? When they stop crashing the weddings and he starts crashing funerals to hook up with chicks?
Will Smith, you mean Will
Smith. Yes, Will Ferrell, not Will Smith.
Yeah.
He shows up as the Fresh Prince at all these funerals, trying to pick up on women.
Right, there's one other one that I want to get to because we talked about it earlier just before we went on the air.
All right.
Teeth whitening addiction. Looks like some people can't stop whitening their teeth so much that it's being considered a new addiction. Since bleaching is easy and effective, people can get really hooked. 2 possible side effects of this addiction are tooth sensitivity and gum irritation. According to a report in the US alone, people spent almost $1.4 billion on tooth whitening products and procedures in 2006. Okay, so aside from being like 11 years old, a lot of people spending money on teeth whitening does not mean anyone's become addicted to it. Now, overusing it, if you read the label on the bottle, says, it can cause that shit.
Do you think it's over the counter stuff, or do you think they're going to the dentist to have their teeth whitened?
No, this is talking about where it's talking about since bleaching is easy and effective.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I'm imagining that
you can do both.
Here's what the 1.4 billion was spent on tooth whitening products and procedures.
Okay.
So the procedures probably take up a lot of it, but the home tooth whitening but a dentist isn't going to be like I'm not fucking with your teeth.
Just lost sound.
Well, I will tell you this though, because there are, sorry to say it, but when you're dealing with somebody that's willing to pay you to perform a procedure that the doctor assumes is not dangerous, and it's your mouth, your teeth, your money, you want to come in here once a week to have your teeth whitened, even though you don't need it, I'll take your fucking money. There are a lot of unethical dentists, doctors, veterinarians, you name it, chiropractors that tell you, oh, yeah, you have a slip disc, we're going to crack your bones, and you've got the flu, we're going to crack your bones. You've got diphtheria, we're going to crack your bones.
But my problem with this is that it's got no real research on it.
Okay,
it's just somebody making an observation.
Yeah,
true story.
All right, true story.
When I was 16, I had to live in a foster home for 6 months. My family's last name was Foster. True story. So I was a foster child for the foster family.
That's depressing.
Yeah,
and the father, who his name was Major, but he was never more than a sergeant in the military. Major Foster had he had a pool cleaning business. That was his income. He would clean people. He was probably one of the stupidest people I ever met in my life. He was constantly studying, and he'd been studying for years to pass the GED, and he would take the test every time it came up, but he could never pass it. But he never stopped trying. So I got to admire him for that. He discovered that if he used the Clorox, the chlorine that he puts in swimming pools to brush his teeth, that they become very white. And of course, in the beginning, he was diluting it and brushing his teeth. But by the time I met him, he was using pure Clorox bleach, just dipping his toothbrush right into it. And he had grown such an immunity to the effects that it didn't fuck up his gums or anything. But
Jesus.
I know. It's crazy.
He had some fucking white teeth, though.
Yes, he did. And there was a time when he basically lost all of the enamel, but somehow his body just went into overdrive and started reproducing enamel, and he's got these amazing white teeth.
Whoa. So
and his breath smells like Clorox.
We do not advocate the use of pool chlorine to brush your teeth.
No.
Although
unless you can't pass the GED.
And unless you're going to use one of those really big bristle brushes that they use to scrub the pool to brush said teeth, because then you can get them all done at once. 2 minutes be damned. That's crazy. So, so Major Foster, Sergeant Major, Sergeant Foster, Dick Sergeant, Sergeant Dick.
Major Dick.
Major Dick. Yeah. So I wanted to talk for a moment about, and I always do this, I'm such a downer, but a few episodes ago we talked about the unfortunate death of Chris Cornell as the result of what ended up being medication that he was taking for anxiety that made him suicidal, and he killed himself. His wife spoke out against the doctor being a little bit unethical, and that he was given too much. And what I've noticed is a lot of doctors are now prescribing these anti-anxiety medications to former addicts, especially celebrities and people that have sort of stressful lifestyles, so to try and prevent them from relapsing on the drugs. The problem is that these medications, a lot of times drug addicts battle depression, and maybe that's why they started using drugs in the first place. And they have anxiety disorders, but instead of actually getting treatment, they're just giving them more drugs in hopes that it will keep them stable enough to not start using and drinking and falling off the wagon. And you end up with the Chris Cornells of the world who, you know, one of the side effects of this medication is suicidal thoughts and even suicide. So we already talked about Chris Cornell. Just a couple of days ago, very, very world famous Phoenix native Chester Bennington of Lincoln Park committed suicide. He was 40 years old. He hung himself in a very similar fashion to the way that Chris Cornell hung himself, and actually killed himself on Chris Cornell's birthday, what would have been his birthday. The interesting part about that is that Chester and Chris Cornell were close friends. And apparently Chris Cornell's death really affected Chester, and maybe he didn't process it. Maybe he didn't do whatever he needed to do, but Chester was also a recovering addict. So it'll be really interesting to see, because like I said, when Chris Cornell died, Chris Cornell either killed himself because he relapsed. We found out that that wasn't the case. But with Chester, I would be very curious to find out, did he relapse and kill himself because of the shame? I mean, he was a couple of days away from starting a new tour for their new album with Linkin Park. I mean, he was about to do a reunion show with his high school band here in Phoenix just next month. And things seem to be, I mean, it's not like Chester or Linkin Park ever saw a downturn in their career. I mean, they're still considered one of the best rock and roll bands out there right now, and they were the biggest band for almost the entire, 2000s, from like 2000 to 2010. They were on top of the world. They were the best selling hard rock band in the world for years. So it's not like he fell on hard times, but could he also be a product of over medication from a psychiatrist, not processing the grief of the death of his friend? Because to me, there is no coincidence. It cannot be a coincidence that he hung himself the same method that Chris Cornell killed himself on Chris Cornell's birthday. Like, that is just...
Birthdays and anniversaries and things like that are especially powerful when you have stuff like suicide contagion.
Yeah.
Like copycat suicide and things. And you're right. That was my first thought when I was reading all that stuff. Was they were very close. The method was the exact same, and the date had particular significance.
Yep.
If he wouldn't have done it on his birthday, he probably would have done it a year from
on the anniversary of his death. Sure.
Yeah.
So, pretty sad story. And like I said before, you know, we had no idea that Carrie Fisher would have been, you know, pretty hopped up on drugs when she died. Nobody expected that Philip Seymour Hoffman was a heroin addict when he overdosed and died. You know, the list goes on. You know, Heath Ledger, Amy Winehouse, all of these people that were either recovering addicts, relapsed addicts, Robin Williams. I mean, just lots of death. And the suicide ones are particularly kind of gruesome. You know, why? Why would a dude who has everything in the world, who had beat this addiction, decide to take his own life? And when he was right about to go on tour with his band, what I assume was what he loved more than anything in the world, and with 6 kids and a wife, you know, that's just,
I didn't know that, man.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking. So it's an interesting one. We will obviously keep everyone up to speed if we get more details about what might have happened, what might have caused this to happen. But just a sad story, and it kind of hit home because, you know, my son Peyton, kind of his first favorite band was Linkin Park. He had the opportunity to meet Chester Bennington a number of times, and you know, and of course in true fashion, my fashion, the last time I got to see him perform was Halloween, like a year or two ago, and he was dressed up like a zombie. And so I have these really awesome pictures of him performing like a zombie, and it was really good, like Hollywood quality makeup. So I asked my wife, I showed her the picture, and I said, would it be too soon to post this on my profile on Facebook or something?
That would be yes.
And I was immediately called a callous asshole with no heart. Robinson, it looks like you're having some audio problems. Can you not hear us? I'm going to say he can't hear us.
Well, you keep calling us.
I know he keeps calling into the show. Well, he called into the show once. Is he calling you?
Well, he's Google. He's calling Google Hangouts.
He must be just calling you then, because I'm not getting any calls. Here, I'll turn on the message function here and see if I can't talk him off the ledge. We can hear you. You can't hear us? Question mark.
Hello.
Everyone at home, go get like something to drink. Oh wait, we can hear you now.
Yeah, we can hear you. Okay.
Can you not hear us?
I guess not. There has been quite a lot of interference tonight with his audio. It's been very buzzy.
There's no sound. I can't hear you anymore. I'm trying to.
Well, we hear you.
I can't hear you.
I get it.
I'm trying to call you from my phone.
Okay, so hold on.
Accept my call. Accept my call. Come on, add me.
You are already on the show.
No, first my sound just stopped working on my laptop. You could hear me.
I understand.
But I couldn't hear you, and so I'm now on as 2 people, audio through the other. So
Chaz is no longer on the show because he left to answer your call, and I'm the one hosting the call.
Come on, we got Chaz only. I don't have Mike on this. What the fuck?
You are not on.
I'm out.
All right, see you later.
Fuck. I hate this fucking thing.
All right, so we're gonna get Chaz back on here, and There's Chaz. Are you there?
That was fun. I was in Vietnam for a second there. That was wow.
Oh, he
What a
just
wild ride.
he doesn't get it. He didn't realize that he was still on the broadcast, and he can't call people from his own device to be on the broadcast. Only I can. So when he was calling you, that wasn't to be added to the show. It was to have your own separate phone call. So,
I know, but
yeah.
I just wanted to like jump on there and be like, dude, I can't.
Yeah.
I can't help you.
Well, if there's one thing we know, it is that technology hates Robinson, but Robinson hates technology as well. And I've tried to convince him for years to just get better technology. But hey, you know, he likes what he has. He knows what he knows. And when you're as old as dirt, technology moves really quickly and it can be hard to keep up. But we love you, Robinson, and we'll catch up with you next week. I think we've talked about what we wanted to talk about this evening. We got to get in some strange addictions. We got to get in a brief conversation about a sad story that is regardless of the end reason why. The story of Chester Bennington is a story of addiction. I don't care what anybody else says. The man was a recovering addict, and perhaps if it hadn't been for that part of his life, maybe he would not have done what he did. I don't know. But we'll kick out the bumper music here. We will bid everyone adieu, and we will see them next time. So this is the Sober Happy Hour radio broadcast, rife with technical difficulties. We can never seem to go more than a couple of shows without the technical difficulties demon rearing its ugly head. But Robinson was on for most of the show. He got frustrated and said, "Fuck this, I'm out." And I think it's daytime in Vietnam, so hopefully he can go have some lunch and blow off some steam. Yeah. If you want to get in touch with us, soberhappyhour@gmail.com, facebook.com/soberhappyhour. Follow us on Twitter @soberhappyhour. And we'll be back in a week or two, and we'll have some more conversation and stories about drugs, addiction, alcoholism, and perhaps people that like to eat raw meat. Who knows? That one could be an addiction because that could kill you. Let's be honest, right? So thank you, Chaz. Have a good night. We will see you next time. Bye-bye. If you or yours is considering getting sober, I highly recommend it. Good night.
Good night.